Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Rebecca Smith, giving it another shot. We tried once and the sound wasn't working. So hopefully you guys are going to be able to find me, and then we'll see if we can make the sound work. So I'm going to get going here in just a minute. Go ahead and say hello in the chat once you find us. And I'm also going to share this to the Sport Confidence Accelerator group once we get confirmation that the sound is working. And happy Thursday, everybody. We're inching toward the weekend. And let's see here. Okay, so we've got the live video going on the Complete Performance Coaching page. And I'll share that. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to share this to, oh yay, Michelle has sound, fabulous. Okay, good. Share this over to the Sport Confidence Accelerator group, and then we're going to get on with our lives here. And this is a big one, so I'm really excited to dig in and get cracking. So I'm going to take questions at the end. If you have questions, feel free to type them in at any point, and I will try my best to get to them. But if that doesn't happen, feel free to ask them again at the end. So today, our topic is how to stop being your own worst enemy in sport. And this one, like all of the topics I talk about, I have direct experience with. And I think many of you probably do. As humans, we do these things that get in our own way, and then we get frustrated, and then we're, without realizing it, undermining confidence. So we put in all this effort, all this time, all this money into this sport that we love. We pour our heart, soul, and pocketbook into this sport. Our time, our family, our relationships, it all revolves around sport in many, many, many families, especially where you've got, a highly talented athlete who's very passionate about their sport and a family who supports them. It happens. But then your confidence is like, where did it go? What is the problem? She's working really hard. She gives it all she's got. Why can she not get it together? Hi, Jordan, Riley. Who else is here? You guys say hi if you're here. So I saw Michelle, and we've got Jordan, Riley. You guys are awesome. My friends, they show up. So here's what we're going to talk about: how to stop undermining your confidence without realizing that you're doing it. You might already know you're doing it, but just in case you don't. And then also, we're going to talk about why, oh, hi, Maggie, why mental training doesn't work for some people and what you might have to shift to make it work for you. This has to do with your learning style and your personality. There are a lot of different elements that affect somebody's confidence, and you have to consider what is your learning style and what is your personality. So coaches, I know we have a lot of coaches in the audience. You might be coaching to a particular learning style and a particular personality without realizing it. And that might mean that you're leaving some out and you're not understanding what's the mismatch. Why is this kid not getting it? Why are they not confident? It could be a learning style or personality issue. So I'm going to go over that. And I'm also going to give you access to a document that I have. Oh, hi, Heather. Oh, yeah, I thought I recognized that last name. I'm going to give you guys a document that gives you all the different types of athletes so that you can go through and figure out which one am I. And then also in there it says what your strengths and weaknesses are, what you need from your coach and your parents, and mental toughness training tips for you and your personality. So quick review, this is day 2 of our live training series. We did one on Tuesday night, and we talked about mental toughness and some of the secrets of Olympians. And there were 6 mental toughness boosters that I gave you guys, 6 things that you could choose one from. So I asked you to take a look at the 6 things and decide which one are you going to work on. These were motivation, goals, believing in yourself, focus, staying positive, and then switching off sport when your practice is over. So I know that Mallory picked believing in herself, and then she went into practice the next day and did a skill, and she did not want a spot, and it was the first time she'd ever done it. So who's got a success story? Which one did you choose, and how did it go? You can either share here on the live video, or you can share in the Facebook group. I would love to hear What have you been doing for the last day? And have you been able to funnel your attention on that one little element, big element of mental toughness? And what have you noticed as a result? All right, so now let's go through the list of, and bear with me, it's a long list of ways that people get in their own way, ways in which you might be your own worst enemy. So I want you just to do a little mental tally of how many of these things do you relate to, okay? And then, or you can even make little tally marks. Hopefully you have a journal, you have something to write with as we go through these trainings. But, and I want you to be able to say, okay, how many of those relate to me? First one, expecting the worst. My husband, I used to joke with him that when I met him, his motto for life was, everything's ruined, I knew this would happen. Everything's messed up, I knew this would happen. His negativity fit perfectly with my positivity because I tend to be pretty optimistic. I'm like, it's going to be fine. Well, for anybody but myself, when I'm involved, I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to fail? What's going to go wrong? But for him, it was really obvious. He was like, the worst is going to happen. This is not going to go well. We are going to be late. We're not going to get a seat. We're going to hit traffic. We're never going to find a parking spot. He was just expecting the worst. Okay, so give yourself a point if that applies to you. Imagining things going wrong. I know a lot of athletes, without meaning to, they actually see a picture in their mind, and this, especially for people who are very visual, they see a picture in their mind of things going horribly wrong. If you set out to do a scary skill and then you see yourself crashing, that is not really doing anything for your confidence, right? And I know you're not doing it on purpose, but give yourself a point if that happens to you. Here's another one. Never feeling happy with your performance, even when it was good or great. And there are plenty of people who, I'll get on a session with them and they'll go, oh, I had the worst performance. It was really horrible. How did your mom think you did? Oh, she thought I did great. How did your coach think you did? They were really happy. So not feeling happy with your performance, even if it was close to perfect because it wasn't perfect. All right, next one, getting jealous or comparing yourself to other people, kind of getting wrapped up in what other people are doing and then feeling like you're less than. Next one, giving up and feeling like it's impossible when things get hard. This happens a lot for people who have a lot of talent in sport, but they're really used to winning, getting medals, doing well, getting the skills, making the corrections fast, getting praise. They're pretty accustomed to that. And then inevitably in every sport career, there is a time where it gets hard for everybody. For Simone Biles, for everybody. It gets hard at one point. And the people who go, oh, it's too hard. Oh my gosh, I've peaked. My talent has escaped me. I don't think I'm going to be able to get through this. Then you're obviously getting in your own way. Okay, next one is having incredibly high expectations, which creates insane stress and pressure. That you go in and you're like, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, then I'm a failure. Or you get really tense before competition because you have so much on the line at all times because you need to be amazing or else. Okay, that's a way that you could be sabotaging your confidence. Believe it or not, that's interesting, right? Because this is good in sport. You want to be excellent. You want to be aiming for the very best performance possible. I'm not saying that we don't want to do that. But if you have high expectations to the point of never feeling good enough and getting really stressed out and feeling a ton of pressure, then you're a lot more likely to implode under pressure. You might be able to relate to that. Okay, here's the next one. Getting so nervous that you make stupid mistakes. That sort of goes hand in hand with the last one. That you are so nervous that you really want to do well because it's a big deal, and then you get tense, and then all of your skills are off. And you're like, what happened to me? Okay, that's a way that you're undermining your own confidence. The next one is focus on the outcome so much that you mess up what you need to do to create that outcome. Okay, so that means that you are starting a tumbling pass, thinking about the flip at the end, and then somehow your round off gets weird, and then your back handspring's funky, and then you have no idea why that flip was so terrible because you were out in the future missing what you needed to do in this moment to make it go well. So anybody who's thinking about the score, thinking about the judge, thinking about their time, thinking in any way about the outcome, You are not in the moment. And in the moment is where you actually execute really, really good skills. So getting ahead of yourself is a way to self-sabotage. Okay, the next one is getting discouraged by setbacks or mistakes, or getting stuck on where you should be. So this happens anytime that something's not going well. You're behind your teammates. Maybe you get injured. Something happens that sets you back, and then you're obsessed with where you should or could or would be instead of just being where you are and moving forward. It can get really discouraging. The next one is focusing on what's not going well instead of your progress. This is a human thing. We are conditioned to focus on what's not good, what's not going well, what our weaknesses are, so that we can stay safe in, ancient times. But this doesn't do us any good anymore. Focusing on what's not going well, all it does is bring the energy down, bring the motivation down, bring the happiness down, bring the joy down. If you have a tendency to focus on your flaws, your imperfections, your mistakes, your failures, and really internalize that, it is stealing your energy. All right, the next one is avoiding hard or scary things, which we do subconsciously. If there's a skill that you're having a mental block on, your brain wants to do anything possible to prevent you from trying that. And so it will be like, ouch, your elbow. Oh, aren't you thirsty? Gosh, you gotta go to the bathroom. And then your coach is like, wow, she is so lazy. What is going on? What happened to that hardworking kid? Why is she doing nothing in this rotation? What is happening? When really your brain's just like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. So that allowing things that are hard or scary to take over. The next one is getting easily distracted. Now sometimes this comes with our chemistry. Some people are just naturally, they have this broad focus and they're aware, they're really hyper aware of everything. So for you guys, if that applies to you, the trick is to learn how to narrow that in and get it on the right things at the right time. All right, the next one is getting overly concerned with what other people think. That I call this mind reading. So it's your teammates start giggling and you're like, oh my gosh, they're laughing at me. And somebody's in a bad mood and you're like, oh, they're mad at me. The coach makes a funny face and you're like, oh, they hate me. That's something that's very, very common for adolescents and teenagers. It's actually part of your reality, that your job, your developmental job at that age is to ask yourself, who am I? What's important to me? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be around? What do I want people to think of me? How do I want to show up on this earth? That's basically your job. And so you're supposed to be like me, because you're trying to decide, what does me even mean? But the downside of that is that you're like so self-centered naturally that you feel like everybody's thinking about you, when really, here's the secret, they're all thinking about themselves. So if you do this, give yourself a little tally mark. The next one is you're so afraid of failure that you don't set goals, or you keep the bar really low. Some perfectionists would say that this is something that they do, where they are very conservative in their goal setting because failure is such a horrible idea. The next one is seeking approval so much, being such a people pleaser, wanting approval so much that you go against your own intuition or fear just to make somebody happy. Now this, I would say, is one of the main causes for mental blocks. It's you feel afraid. You don't want to be afraid because you don't want to get in trouble or you don't want to make anybody mad. So you go, shh, I'm not afraid, can't be afraid, don't have time to be afraid. And then you try something, which then you end up actually putting yourself in danger, which then freaks you out. Even if you're not really in danger and it was fine, it was safe, your brain starts to feel so unnerved by your inability to stand up for yourself that your brain is like, wow, this person's not to be trusted. They will do anything to please their coach, and that anything might not be safe, so we're not going to allow those anymore. So I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, how your brain and your body get out of sync. And this is one of the ways that you seek approval so much that your brain and your body sort of detach from each other. And your brain just goes, we're not going to do anything because I can't trust you to take care of me. So if that sounds a little crazy, you'll stick with me. I'll explain it a little bit more. All right, the next one is you only feel good about yourself when you get a good score or you get a compliment from somebody else. So you have no sense really of how well you did until somebody tells you you did a good job. And that I can relate to this one. I'm like, did I do okay? How did I do? Everybody tell me, can I get a like? You know, like it's a tendency that I've had since I was a little kid. It's like, I want attention. I want people to tell me I'm good enough. And that, it undermines your confidence, because what we want to have is the ability to go, I am good enough regardless of what I do, regardless of what I do and who's watching. That's actually something I have written up on my little board above me. It's that I'm good enough regardless of what I do and who's watching. And that, it's powerful. Because for me, this was a big one. Next one, you're mean and critical to yourself. That's self-explanatory. The next one is distracted by what other teammates are either doing or not doing. You know, kind of like feeling like you need to take care of everybody and control them. Like, well, they should be doing this. And why are they doing that? And why aren't they doing that? And why am I not? And just being kind of needing to micromanage. Parents, we do this a lot, right? The next one is not asking for help when you need it because you want to get through it on your own, or you don't want to make any waves. So you don't ask for help or feedback, and you don't get help or feedback from your coaches. And then you get behind, and then you get mad that nobody's coaching you. That one is another huge one that I bring up when we talk about getting through mental blocks or fear. There are 3 critical things, and one of them is communication. If you don't have that, or you're too afraid to speak up, or you don't want to need help, you will stay stuck. That's been my experience. Next one is feeling frustrated or less than your teammates because you move at a different pace. Now, people who tend to get mental blocks, it's a weird backward situation, but for many of the people I work with, they're very talented. They're high level. They work hard. They're passionate. They have all of the pieces to be really phenomenal at their sport, but their body outpaces their brain. What I mean by that is that their body is so capable that their brain has to be like, wait for me. I don't know about that. That sounds scary. Are you sure? Even though their body's like, yep, I can do it. So that's, again, where that mismatch between brain and body comes in. And so those people feel like, why do I have to move slower? I should be moving fast. I should be up there with my teammates. I should be able to do this. I've competed this. Why do I have to move slower? And then they feel like they're broken, or they're not as good, or they're less than, because they're more of a tortoise where other people are more of hares. So yes, even though your brain, or even though your body can do it, some people have to accept, I'm a tortoise. I move a little slower, but I'm slow and steady. And when I go slow and steady, I get the confidence I need to reach my goals. All right, we've just got 5 left. So the next one is going so hard that you burn out, even get overtired, and then end up injured. So that's, those like diehards who are like, I will not stop. And then you're the ones who end up with the overuse injuries, or it doesn't hurt that bad, or I don't want to say anything, I'm going to get in trouble. That can definitely undermine your confidence. Even though you're like, I'm going, I care, I'm trying. You have to, again, listen. You have to listen to your body, whether it's your brain or it's a physical ailment, it's pain. You got to learn to listen. Otherwise, you are going to be undermining your own confidence. The next one is staying focused on things that are out of your control. This is a losing battle. If you're like, my coaches hate me, and oh my gosh, what are my scores going to be? And ooh, what if the equipment isn't good? All of that is stuff that's completely out of your control. Even for those of you who have a time-based sport like swimmers, the clock is out of your control. You cannot make time go faster or slower. So obsessing about times or scores or outcomes is a waste of energy. So if you find that you're doing that, focusing on things that you cannot actually control, like other people or outcomes, then you're wasting your own energy. All right, the last couple are, you can't take criticism well. You are stubborn or inflexible, like you feel like and someone else is wrong. That can be, I'm like, oh, I just flared up on that one because I like to be right. And I like to be like, I'm right. Everybody else, get out of my way. But sometimes I'm not right and I need outside feedback. And then the last one is that you need to be right, even if it means self-sabotage. That you'd rather be right than be happy. Okay, so give me a little chat here and let me know how many of those, if you were keeping track, apply to you, or if they all apply to you, or if you're like, nope, I am totally not in that category. And I give you lots of options. Okay, now I see that Riley, is that Riley or Jordan? Well, one of them is saying, I chose focus and I stayed focused by blocking out the noise before I went for a turn and it helped. Amazing. So I think that was Jordan. I can't remember. But so let me know what, can you relate to anything on that list? Are you potentially sabotaging yourself a little bit? Now, we lost count. Yeah, Maggie got 14 points. I know I gave you like the longest list ever, but do we relate? Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, and it was Jordan on the focus. So let me know if you can relate to that. You can give me a like too if you're like, yep, that's me. So here's how to stop. And I imagine if you tuned in for something called How to Stop Being Your Own Worst Enemy, you probably can relate to that list. But here is the kind of like 1, 2, 3 punch on how to stop doing this. First, you must be aware that you're doing it. So for anybody who's like, no, I'm not doing that. Are you aware? Anybody who's like, yes, I'm doing all of that, good job, you're paying attention. And so first step for any kind of improvement, any kind of mental toughness improvement is to notice where your weak spots are. And then once you become aware, you make a commitment to continue to notice it. Now this, along with a lot of sort of mind shifting, can get uncomfortable because all of a sudden you're having to pay attention to yourself in not the best way. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. Oh, I'm feeling all agitated because I got some criticism, or, oh, there's my perfectionism. Come on, can it just be good enough? It starts to feel, it can feel uncomfortable. But so first you become aware. Second, you commit to noticing it continually. See if you can notice when you're doing the things that are undermining you, or maybe there's like a big one that applies to you in particular, and commit to make a change. Okay. Then the third one is to learn the right mental training techniques for your personal brand of self-sabotage. Okay. And this is all going to be in that list of 14 types of athletes. It's got all the different types of people, and then what your strengths and weaknesses are, what your support squad can do, and then what your mental training tips are for your particular personality. So if you want to download one of those and kind of check it out now, you can. You can go to the link completeperformancecoaching.com/14. Okay, I'm going to type that in the comments too so you guys have it. completeperformancecoaching.com/14. You may even be able to click on that comment. Okay, and I see Heather's got 19 of those. Yeah, good job. Heather is aware. Excellent. So you've got that link, so you can download the list of all the different types. Now, keep in mind, they're called things like the diva and the clown, and so it's all meant in fun and to be kind of light. So don't feel offended if you fall into one of the categories that doesn't have like the superstar as the name of it. But just, keep that in mind. It's all like a little bit light, but check it out and see where you fall. And my guess is that you probably apply to like maybe 1, 2, or 3 of them. So don't worry if you're like, oh, I don't know which one I am. You can be a bunch of them, but it gives you an idea of, how your personality impacts the way that you train your mind. All right. So now I'm going to talk about why your body and mind seem out of sync sometimes. So think of it like, I just did this in my live training last night with the athletes in the Perform Happy community. So if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. You are the mountain, your mind is the sky, and your thoughts are the weather. Okay. So you are just a solid, still mountain. Then you've got this sky that's ever present. That's your mind. And then you have all these, airplanes and birds and dark clouds and bright clouds and sunshine and all kinds of stuff. Rain, sun, rainbows, all coming and going through your mind. That's how it works. And when your brain, which is part of the mountain, identifies a threat, it will send messages to you. Okay. Now a threat could be physical, like you're going to get hurt. Mental, this is going to be too hard. Emotional, the disappointment is unbearable or you're going to be embarrassed. Social, people are going to shun you. You're not going to be liked. Spiritual, you're not a good person. Any of those threats can get your brain on high alert. And so your body, when it's feeling threatened, starts to tense up. And what I want for you to be able to do is see those threats like weather and be able to look at them and go, oh, okay, there's something here. There's a message that I'm getting from my brain that's saying this is scary. I need to look into this. Let's figure out what's real. Well, this is a new progression. I haven't done it that many times. Maybe I need a little more warm up. Or I've done it plenty of times. I am completely ready. Thank you for the information. Here I go. You want to be able to be level-headed about the thoughts that come into your mind and not be so attached to them. But when you are very attached to your thoughts and you feel like I am scared versus I am having a fear thought, I'm bad versus I'm having a critical thought. This might be kind of out there, but this is where I'm headed. So you want to be able to detach and just be the mountain. Like, you are okay. You are steady. You are still. You are good. And then whatever's happening in the weather is all okay too. But when you feel like you're not separate, like you are your thoughts, then your brain feels threatened. So then when your brain feels like there is a threat to my safety, it will send you into fight or flight mode, which will make your body really tense. And then it makes your skills get weird. It makes you swim slow. It makes you flip weird. It just makes everything weird. And then your brain goes, uh-oh, this is not predictable. This is not safe. So the first thing that happens is the thought. Then you get attached to it. You believe it. You circle it around in there. And then you get freaked out. Your body gets freaked out. Your brain gets freaked out. And then everything gets funny. This could happen in competition. This could happen in practice. But this is sort of the reason why your brain and your body get a little bit disjointed. So what needs to happen is to learn to not take it so seriously. And this is something that we do often. We do a lot of training on how to view what's happening up there and break the patterns of negative thinking and get yourself to a place where you can separate yourself from the thoughts. And in this way, your brain is either your best friend or it's your worst enemy. You kind of get to choose. If your brain is telling you this is not safe and you're not listening because you want to please somebody, then your brain becomes your worst enemy because you're like, I just want to do this. What is the problem? I should be able to do this. Why won't my brain let my body do it? I don't know why I can't get my body to do what it used to do so easily. In those moments, you're like, I hate my brain. Has anybody ever had that thought to themselves? Like, I'm so mad at my mind. Why can't I just not do this? What is the problem? Or even parents, you're like, it's all in your head. Your parents are like mad at your mind because it's just like, what's the mismatch? So if you can figure out how to detach yourself from your thoughts, how to use those signals that your brain is sending you in a good way, in a way that will actually be useful, in a way that you sort of decode, okay, what's my brain sending me? Good. This is how I respond to this sort of thinking. You become friends with your brain. You're like, hey, brain, what's up? You having trouble today? What do you need? And then your brain's like, well, I need a spot. Or, well, I don't know. I'm just not feeling so good about this. Then you do, those 3 critical things that get you through fear. Who my perform happy people, you guys know those 3 things, right? I hope. Then you learn how to trust yourself. You learn how to train your body, train your mind, and then the next layer is you trust. It's like, that's what I want to switch on for you, is that automatic self-trust where your body is trained, your mind is trained, and you can just switch it off and go. You don't need like a million techniques. You don't need a bunch of stuff to think. You don't need a bunch of stuff to do. You just get up and go, and you trust yourself. That is the dream. So now here's how your learning style impacts your ability to train your mind. There are plenty of people who I've heard say things like, it doesn't work for me, or, imagery doesn't work, visualization doesn't work, or we tried affirmations, it doesn't work. Plenty of time I get on the phone with people and they're like, this didn't work. We tried this, that didn't work. We tried meditating in the car before the meet and that didn't work. Well, here's an explanation as to why that might be. Everybody has a dominant learning style. And so the 3 that I typically talk about are visual learners. You got to see something to understand it. Like, someone needs to demonstrate for you to get it. Audio learners, you need an explanation, and you're kind of linked in with sound. And then there's kinesthetic. So you need to try it. You need to feel it. And if you lose the feeling, you feel lost. And then everybody's got a combo of all of these, but for me, I'm very audio. Like I can learn an entire book just from hearing it. But then I also, especially physical learning, like when I was learning to snowboard, I would sit on the lift and I would watch people, and then I'd get down and I'd try it. And then at the same time, I learn by teaching. So there's some kinesthetic there too. But knowing yourself, some people are like, I am terrible at visualizing. It might not be that you're terrible at visualizing, it's that you don't lean on the visual sense as strongly. So you're more of an audio person and you need to have keywords that focus you in. Or maybe you're a feeler and drills are your best friend. And if you lose the feeling, then you need to imagine it in a way where you're feeling it. And then of course we want to add sound and sight, but this is something that we also work on in the trainings in the Perform Happy community, is figuring out what is your learning style and how do you visualize? And then also how do the other techniques play a part? Like choreographing your mind with a rhythm or a set of numbers or words that get you locked in. That might not work for somebody who is totally not audio. They might need something visual. So just keep that in mind. If you're like, this doesn't work for me, think about your learning style. That applies to how you learn how to train your mind. And then finally, we go into the personality part. So if you didn't already, go ahead and go over to this link, completeperformancecoaching.com/14, and you can get access to the whole, it's like a 14-page thing that's, what do they call it? The 14 types of young athletes. And then you'll be able to go through and look at, each different heading. You're going to know somebody in each one. And so I'll give you a little example. A swim coach that I used to work with who was phenomenal, a phenomenal coach. He had this incentive system that he set up for his swimmers. It wasn't really his system. It was sort of the culture of, all of the swimmers, but where if you qualified to sectionals, you got a certain color of cap. If you went to nationals, you got a certain color of cap. Each time that you got some big cut, you would get a swim cap that you could wear in the pool. And so you'd look around and be like, oh, those kids are fast because they have that color cap. And those kids, not as fast because they don't have that color cap. And so the coach's theory was those kids will chew off their left foot to get that swim cap so they can wear it at practice and show it off to their friends. So we really encourage it. We talk about it and we emphasize it. So a couple of types of personalities from the 14 types, the die hard and the star, it works for them. This is like 10% of athletes. The kid who's like, I will chew off my left foot for achievement. Yeah, they will go after it. They will bust their butt. And the kid who's just like that annoying kid who's super talented and doesn't have to try, yeah, they're going to go get the cap. And then everyone else is going to be like, oh, I work so much harder. So the Eeyore goes and gives up because she's like, oh, I'll never get a cap. The mouse doesn't say anything, doesn't ask for any extra help, slowly loses hope. The teacher's pet feels like a failure because they're supposed to be the favorite, but how can you be the favorite when you're wearing that color cap? The tortoise gets frustrated because they should be there, but maybe they got hurt or maybe they just moved slower. The diva starts drama about, well, those caps are jerks anyway, so we don't even care. Then there's the space cadet who's like, which cap means what? I don't know. What cut am I supposed to get? How many laps are we supposed to swim? The perfectionist is on the verge of burnout, getting anxious and stressed every single time that they see those caps. The klutz can't get the cut because they hurt their shoulder and then they're comparing themselves to others. The clown makes a joke of the whole thing, pretends like they don't care, but they really do care. And they just want attention from their coach. So that's an example of how each of the different personalities is affected so differently. So if you're a coach, make sure and grab that so you can take a peek through and you'll be able to like identify, oh, well, that's that kid, that's that kid. And then the best part is that it shows you exactly what type of mental training and what type of support they need. So grab that. And then I would love for you to share in our Facebook group, which ones are you? I want to see. So again, that's the Sport Confidence Accelerator. And now I will open it up for questions. If you guys have any questions on this, on other stuff, and then just a heads up, I will be back tomorrow, Friday, September 6th, on how to cut the distractions. So that's a big one that keeps people from being mentally tough and confident, is if they get distracted, either by internal or external environmental factors. And then our next live training will be on Monday. So we're doing 3 this week, and then what do we got? 3 next week. So I'm just gonna like keep the ball rolling, keep accelerating confidence, because this beginning of the school year, this is the time to get in and build a strong foundation, especially those of you who are gymnasts who don't start competing till December, January. It is the time. like really front load your confidence. So you guys can find me again at that Sport Confidence Accelerator Facebook group, and I will be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific, so that's 5 p.m. Eastern time. And if you can't make it, don't worry. The videos are going to be posted in the Facebook group, the public Facebook group, for at least a week. And then for those of you who are members of the Perform Happy community, I'm going to keep these all stored for you online indefinitely, so you'll be able to have access to. All right, thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon.